Today on the UCM Sports Page, we would take a look at senior Mules track and field thrower Caniggia Raynor and his amazing career here at UCM. We also got to talk to the Jennies bowling coach, and renovations of the new UCM golf course are finally finished. All that and much, much more straight ahead on the UCM Sports Page. Hello everyone, your boy looking good as always. Welcome to our final episode of the University of Central Missouri Sports Page for this spring semester. I'm Marquise Jones. We have a busy show for you today, so let's get this business booming. Caniggia Raynor is a senior thrower for men's track and field here at UCM, and he has thrown himself into the record books here and his native hometown of Jamaica. Michael Frazier and Brandon McReynolds caught up with Caniggia. Let's take a look.
Caniggia Raynor has been building a legacy for himself ever since he came to UCM. Originally from Portmore, Jamaica, he talks about how he got started in throwing back home.
Everything started from Bridgeport High School. When I was coming home from class, I saw this big dude throwing the shot put, so I stayed back after school watching that, and I kind of liked it after that. Talked to the coach about coming to try out and do it. Went home, talked to my dad, but I'm like, I want to try this sport event. He's like, go ahead.
For his first 2 years in America, Raynor attended Johnson County Community College where he set the school record in the weight throw, discus, and hammer throw. Coach Tucker Woolsey talks about recruiting him after his time in community college was up.
Well, I think the talent level was high for a Division II athlete. We knew he would make an immediate impact in our program, in the throws, and in the conference and nationally.
In his first season of indoor at UCM, he finished 6th in the weight throw at the NCAA National Championships, and also won a conference title in the event. In the outdoor season, he was crowned national champion in the discus and placed 5th in the hammer throw. With the main focus of the season being the hammer throw, it was almost surprising that he came away with a title in the discus.
I think the discus was more unexpected for the national title. We had trained more last year to really focus on the hammer throw, but the first time I saw it out at a first meet, and I thought this is going to be a special event for him.
In the 2015 to 2016 indoor season, he was crowned conference champion again in the weight throw and then went on to place 2nd in the event at the national meet. In the current outdoor season, he improved on his personal record in the hammer throw at 68.22 meters, which also happens to be the Jamaican national record. Raynor talks about what it means to be his country's national record holder.
It's a great feeling to hold the national record, but at the same time I know I got a lot more ways to go to put that record where it needs to be and set that standard.
With being a senior, he still has aspirations of competing post-collegiately with the goal of making the 2020 Olympics.
And the hammer is where I'm going to pursue in the future, where I'm going to try to give it 4 more years to the next Olympics, see if I could achieve the A standard for the Olympics or the World Championship. And after there, I'm just going to figure it out after that.
The future is bright for Caniggia Raynor, and he has definitely left his mark on UCM throws. Reporting for Sports Page, I'm Michael Frazier.
From one All-American to Jada's favorite All-American athlete, we hope to see much more of Caniggia. While Caniggia does a lot of throwing, another team on campus does a lot of rolling. The UCM bowling team has been a picture of success since it began a club team in 1994. And one man has been directing that team all that time. In our first Coach's Corner of this episode, that's right, we do have more. We talked to UCM Jennies bowling coach Ron Holmes. Coach Holmes is in his 16th season with the Jennies bowling team and has led the team to the postseason 15 times. Jada Hill caught up with Coach Holmes.
Welcome to our Coach's Corner segment. I'm sitting down with the head women's bowling coach, Ron Holmes. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thanks.
How do you feel your team has performed this season?
I've been especially proud of and pleased with our team from this year. At the beginning of the year, we didn't have any of our starting members return. So the individuals that we had here had quite a bit of experience, but we needed to find out who was going to be able to fill some of those roles that had been so valuable in the past. So for us to make it through the year and have some quality matches, a couple of wins, make it to the national final or the Elite Eight is very, very fulfilling.
And like you said, you made it to the Elite Eight. Well, you guys you made your 13th consecutive trip to the NCAA championships. So just talk about your team's determination and consistency just throughout the years and up until this point.
Sure. I think the biggest thing for us was to try to make sure and identify for the ladies that they were able to play at this level. With the part-time starters, they hadn't had an opportunity to truly show what they could do, and then several of the new players had never played at this level before. So the season started off quite well for us, and we were able to maintain that momentum as it went through the year. We did have a few ups and downs as well, which is to be expected, but they showed great resilience in being able to finish the year strong and then be selected as one of those final 8 teams.
So just like you said a little bit earlier, not really having the team that you had last year, you guys were seeded number 6 going into the championships. So how did your team really feel about that?
I think they were pleased, but also knew that they could actually do a little better. If they were playing at the top of their game, they'd shown during the regular season that they could compete with any of the other teams that were there at the championship, including the 5 seeded teams above us. So, and they performed quite well at the championship. Unfortunately, not sustained long enough, and then the bracket ended up being extremely difficult for us.
Justine Falbo earned NTCA All-American honors. So how big a deal was that for her and for you all this season?
That was a wonderful award for her, and I think a great reflection of how she did during the regular season. Justine had battled some injuries as well from the year, and she had come to us from another school where she was another role or part-time player. So for her to be able to truly show what her skill level was and compete on a national scale, that's pretty impressive. As that All-American selection, she was essentially one of the top 25 players in the country at all divisions. So it's pretty neat.
So with only 3 seniors on your roster from this past team, how do you feel about your team for next year?
We're really excited to see what the next group can do, and we do have the 3 seniors departing. Unfortunately, Ms. Falbo is going on a nursing school as well, so she'll be a 4th that will not return with us. But we feel very, very excited about the group that we have coming back, and some of those players that have just gotten a little bit of experience will have an opportunity now to step into certain roles. We have another wonderful player here, international player from Australia, that will also be a starter for us and has been training with us for the past year. So I think the future looks very bright for us.
That's exciting. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'd like to say thank you for everyone supporting us during the year and coming and supporting the ladies whenever they competed here on campus.
Okay, well that's all for us. Again, I'm sitting down with the head women's bowling coach, Ron Holmes. Back to you guys in the studio.
You guys can check me out in the Union Bowling in '95. She's not a bowler, but another UCM student athlete who is familiar with striking is Abby Rhodes. Rhodes will be a senior forward this fall for UCM Jennies soccer team. Reed Karsig, the man with the long hair, and Rick Failer had a chance to talk with Abby for this episode of Senior Spotlight.
For Jennies soccer senior Abby Rhodes, choosing red was an easy decision. After all, it's in her blood.
I chose Red partially because my sister went here, and it was a place that I was kind of comfortable with. But right alongside that, there was obviously a scholarship offered to play soccer. And while talking with the coach, it was a big deal for me when I was getting recruited to be a dual sport athlete or be involved in cheerleading at the time. So I talked to him about that, and once he said that that could work here at UCM, then I just kind of fell in love.
Abby credits a lot of her success to head coach Lewis Theobald.
I would say that I owe a lot of my soccer success to our coach, Lewis. He was kind of the first coach I actually had who taught me about soccer. I didn't come from a very successful club team or high school team. My coaches were teachers and just kind of got thrown in the role. So when I got here, I learned a lot about why we do things, what the movements look like, and just kind of like the tactics around it instead of just the athletic aspect. So I feel like I've learned a lot in the last 3 years here, and I kind of can't wait for the final season. So.
Coach Theobald also looks forward to the final season with Abby leading as captain of the team.
I think Abby leads not just by example, but she is vocal, but she's positive, but she holds everybody accountable, and she's just that you know she's out there and she's very competitive. So I think she brings a positive energy for sure, but it's more of an accountability. So I think she does a great job reading players and reading personalities and knowing what's needed in the moment. That's probably one of her strengths as a leader, is knowing to be positive or to criticize a little bit depending on what's needed.
Also agreeing with Coach Theobald, fellow teammate Taylor Thompson feels safe being on the field with her.
Gives me like a sense of comfort to know that she's back there, because when she's back there, I don't really worry that much about like someone getting past her, someone beating her, just someone beating our defense in general, because she'll always be there to stop them.
Abby is all business out on the field as well as in the classroom.
I'm actually a business major. I started out in marketing and then I changed it to double major in both marketing and management. So I will be here for an extra semester, but I'm kind of excited to be like a casual student. So, but my plans for being in business really could involve anything, just because business is everywhere you go. I think with soccer especially, and cheerleading as well, I learned how to deal with like different kinds of people, because we are not all going to be the same, and that's something that I have struggled with in the past and I'm kind of understanding more. But in order to lead or like direct people as management goes, you have to be able to see where they're coming from and relate to them in such a way that they understand why they need to do something instead of just being blindly led. So that's definitely something, like I said, I've been working on and I hope to master pretty soon.
Reporting for UCM SportsPage, I'm Reed Karsig.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be featuring UCM golf. We'll also have news and notes, so don't go anywhere. You're watching the UCM Sports Page.
I choose red to blaze my own trail.
I choose red to be with students and faculty who make me feel at home.
I wanted a university with a big picture perspective. That's why I chose red.
Why do you choose red?
Choose red.
Choose red. Choose the University of Central Missouri. Choose red. Can I do that? Is that allowed?
What if television could remember the heroes we honored, the music we danced to, the dreams we chased?
The hope still lives, and the dream shall never die.
No one tells our nation's story like PBS. Give to your PBS station and help bring America's story to life.
Welcome back to the UCM Sports Page, your sources for Mules and Jennies athletics. Let's switch gears now to a sport that we haven't had the opportunity to talk much about this year, golf. The Mules and Jennies seasons have been underway for a couple months now. I had a chance to visit with men's head coach Tim Poe and women's head coach Chris Port to see their views on the season so far. Welcome to this edition of Coach's Corner. I'm sitting down with Mules and Jennies head coach Chris Port and Tim Poe. We just have a couple questions for you guys. I know you guys are pretty busy, but thank you for coming out today to talk about a little bit about your teams.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Going into our first questions, so with the seasons coming to a close and heading to postseason play, how are you guys getting the team prepared, especially during this tough time of finals week?
Well, I think the biggest challenge right now is getting these guys' finals, taken care of and figure out what they're going to do either before we leave or after they come back. So I know several of them have gotten their finals done prior, arranged to have them done prior. So it's always nice to get those done ahead of time instead of them anticipating them when they get back. But as far as our golf is concerned, we're fortunate enough that we've played that golf course a couple times. I have 3 of my players that have played it, so we kind of know what area we need to be working on.
Similar for us, we've been really specific to the course we're getting ready to go play. We've cut back on their workload right now. We have most of our kids are taking finals early, and we're trying to accommodate that. And this time of the year, they pretty well know what they need to be doing to be ready to go. So we're not. It's definitely a lot lighter work.
And Mules Golf finished 3rd at the MIAA Championship. Teddy Jones was named the MIAA Player of the Year. As a coach, what does this mean to the program and for Jones' career here at UCM?
Well, I think it's a pretty good story for Teddy. We sat down at the end of his 4th year, and he was unsure at that point what he was going to do. He'd gotten his degree, and
didn't know whether he's ready to go out into the workforce or whether he's going to try to turn pro and play a little professionally. You know, what I told him at that time was, you know, you have the rest of your career to start working and to play professional golf. You only have 4 years to play 4 seasons of competition in college. So as far as our program, obviously that's always nice. We've had 3 in a row. You know, when we're recruiting players and tell them, you know, that we have some of the best players in the conference. The team-wise at the conference tournament, you know, we weren't real pleased the way we played. Ended up finishing second overall in the point standings for the conference, but third wasn't what we were looking for at the conference championship. But got beat by a really good Central Oklahoma team. We'll just try to get them back this next week at the regional tournament.
Okay. And with the Jennies finishing at 5th place at the MIAA tournament and heading into your first postseason play, who are the members that Jennies are looking to like for leadership, especially coming up on their first postseason play here in UCM program history?
For us this year, it's really been a team effort. We've had different players play well each week. I think probably the biggest change for us this last year is that we haven't relied on 1 or 2 players that had to play well for us to play good. We've had 5 players all year that were good enough to play our number 1 position. And I think each week in and week out throughout the season, if you look at our results, somebody else stepped up every week. Obviously, you know, Libby had a great season and capped it off with a 2nd place finish at the conference tournament. But Talon, you know, had a couple weeks where she was our top finisher. Jordan Rico had a couple weeks where she was our top finisher. You know, Kelly Welker and Miranda Smith both had weeks where they were one of our top finishers. So it was a team effort all season for us.
And speaking of the Super Regional tournament that's coming up here, you know, the Mules are ranked 9th, but you guys picked up the number 1 seed in the Central Region. How effective is that for you guys, especially like motivating wise, and how does the team feel about that number 1 seed?
Anytime you are seeded number 1, should give our guys a little bit of confidence, knowing that, hey, you know, the people are looking at us as a team to beat. So. I think that motivates the guys to work a little bit harder. You know, the seedings really don't mean a whole lot in golf when you get to the postseason. Really all it does is seed you for how you play the first day, who you're going to be playing with.
And for the Jennies, you guys have been ranked 12th for all 3 regional polls, and you guys actually got into your first ever NCAA Super Regional Championship. How exciting is that for the program?
It's exciting. I mean, this group of kids set a goal at the start of the season to make the regional. And, you know, we had some ups and downs throughout the year, but they kept digging, and we played well down the stretch when we needed to. And to get into your first regional, it's special for those kids. And, you know, I told them this week, I said, enjoy it, because we got to our goal this year. Next year, it's an expectation, so it changes for us next year. Next year, it won't be a goal to go to the regional. It's an expectation for us to go to the regional.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Coaches Corner. Like I said, I was sitting down with the Mules and Jennies golf coaches, Tim Poe and Chris Port. Thanks for joining us today. Throw it back to you guys in the studio. We really have been hard at work out there on the golf course. Speaking of, renovations are now complete out at Keth Memorial Golf Course. Rick Fahler, and I guess the man with a bun right now, Reed Karsig, have the story.
UCM men's and women's golf teams and golf enthusiasts were welcomed this past October by the grand opening of Warrensburg's new golf course and clubhouse. This new course has been in the works for a couple years, and players are relieved that it's finally here. Women's golf senior Kayla Temple believes that the new addition has strengthened their team.
Yeah, it's definitely made our team a lot stronger. I would have to say we've played a lot this year on that new course, and it's helped us out at the other courses that are a little more open and not as tree-lined.
Along with better preparing their squad, Kayla also says that the new course brings an element of respect to the game.
The nicer facility that we have, I feel like the more respect that people give it, the more respect that we get. Having something like that we can appreciate, I think definitely helps the atmosphere and then the support that we get.
Every year, only the men's team has hosted a tournament here, but now, thanks to the addition of the new course, the women's team will as well.
Starting next year, the women are going to host a tournament here, and there will be one every other year. And it'll be something that all of my friends and the peers around the school that have asked if they could go to a tournament, and I tell them where it's at, and they're like, oh, that's a little far. So now having something here, we might get some more school support.
Reporting for SportsPage, I'm Rick Failer.
It's great to see the community and the teams benefit from a new course. Let's turn over now to Jada Hill for our News and Notes segment. Put some respect on her name, Jada.
Thanks, Marquise. We're wrapping up the school year, so that means players' honors are being announced. And, as usual, UCM is doing quite well. The Jennies golf team has 2 players in the All-MIAA team. Elizabeth Leith earned second team honors, and Taylor Interkin was named to the honorable mention squad. Leith led the Jennies with an 80.05 stroke average. She finished in the top 10 4 times and was second at the MIAA championships. Interkin was second on the team with an 82.87 average. She had 1 top 10 finish and was in the top 5 once. Junior golfer Alex Springer has been named a semifinalist for the 2016 Jack Nicklaus National Player of the Year Award presentation by Barbasol. Springer led the Mules with a 72.85 average this season. Finalists for the Division II will be announced on May 12th, and the recipients will be named on June 2nd. The 5 recipients will compete in the Barbasol Shootout for an exemption to the PGA Tour's Barbasol Championship, July 14th through the 17th. Mules baseball climbed 5 spots to number 16 in this week's national poll. The Mules moved up to number 3 in the latest NCAA Central Region rankings. The top 8 teams in the final poll will receive a bid to the NCAA Central Regional, May 12th through the 15th. We're going to go to our last commercial break now, but don't go anywhere. You're watching the UCM Sports Page. Stay tuned.
I grew up in a small American farming town, didn't have a lot. I lived with 7 siblings in a single wide trailer. I just felt like, why couldn't life be better for me? I remember to this day, I turned on the TV and saw Les Mis on great performances. The music was so powerful. I believed that I can do that. It truly inspired me. Today I have a full-time career, but I also have a dream, to sing in a prestigious opera company. It takes work, time, dedication. Sharing my love for music with people gives me joy. PBS helped me think anything's possible. Now I really know what I want in life, and that's singing. PBS gave me the confidence to take a chance in myself.
Hi, and welcome back to UCM Sports Page. We have more news and notes from UCM. 5 members of the Central Missouri Jennies softball team were named to the All-MIAA team. Freshman Emily Robinson was a first-team selection as a utility player. Outfielders Haley Crabtree and Alex Linhart, third baseman Emily King, and shortstop Allie Jo Rogers all were selected honorable mention. Rogers also was named Co-Defensive Player of the Year, becoming the first Jenny to ever claim that honor. And finally, this year's Dr. Peggy Martin Award and Vernon Kennedy Awards have been announced. Julie Ireland from Jennies Soccer, Carly Soika from Jennies Volleyball, Heaven Warner from Jennies Track and Field, and Shelby Winkleman from Jennies Basketball and Volleyball were announced as the winners of the Dr. Peggy Martin Award. Travis Mays from Mules Golf and Caniggia Raynor from Mules Track and Field were named the winners of the Vernon Kennedy Award. The awards recognize UCM's outstanding senior male and female student athletes. You can keep up with all of the Mules and Jennies news, notes, and stats and results at the UCMathletics.com. Back to you, Marquise.
I'm loving that hair you have today, Jada. Well, that's a wrap for us on this edition of the UCM Sports Page for 2015-2016. We hope you guys enjoyed watching as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you guys. Thank you for tuning in, watching this year. Tune in this fall when they pick it back up, because I'm walking across the stage on Friday. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. From all of us here at Sports Page and the UCM Media Network, good night and have an awesome summer.